Hey guys, this is Melissa with Citrus Twist Kits, and I am here with a scrapbook process video for your tutorial this week. And I'm starting off with these three photos of my niece Sophie, who is playing in our new camper. And I'll be using a mixture of supplies from all of the September kits. So those Dear Lizzie sticker sheets are from the Pocket Life kit. The chalkboard stickers are from the embellishment kit. And those layered Dear Lizzie stickers are from the main kit. And I'm also going to go ahead and set up my workspace around me with a few other things I think I might want to use, including a mix of the embellishments from all of the kits. And then I'm going to quickly start flipping through the papers, again a mix of all of the kits, to see which one I think I might want to use as a background sheet. As I'm flipping through papers, I'm looking for sheets that are either neutral with a pattern or colored with just a little bit of pattern or mostly solid. So I've found several sheets, actually 4, that I'm going to try, and I'll actually end up trying all of these before deciding on one sheet of paper. Before I make that decision though, I need to go ahead and get together most of the elements that I want on the page, including that black ribbon that was in the add-on kit. So I will just start off with one sheet of paper to begin with. And I think I'm going to go ahead and start with this Dear Lizzie sheet from Polka Dot Party that has a cute little pencil scribble and mist pattern in the corner. And I'll go ahead and let that be sort of an anchoring spot for the photos and arrange them in a loose grid. And I also want to use this ribbon. Now I have a really hard time using ribbon on layouts, but I recently watched a video by Vilna Furstenberg, and she had ribbons sort of loosely flowing down the page with little charms hanging off of them, and I'm going to do a very modified version of that, which is 2 strips of ribbon coming down the page sort of to draw your eye to the center, and then have a cluster of embellishments running diagonally through this loose grid of photos, starting with that big pink flower sticker at the bottom. So what will happen is your eye will start at the top, follow those ribbons down until it hits that pink flower, and then it will move up and across. So you'll see the title and the photos and the embellishment cluster that's going to be at the top right, and it'll sort of lead your eye. Now for those clusters, I'm going to need lots of little bits, but I'm not really sure which of these pieces will work yet. So my poor little sticker sheets get cut all to pieces so that I can have all of these little individual bits sitting off to the side. And then I will just start arranging things. And I'm going to start by moving all the photos up a little bit because I also want my title to go on the bottom left in that cluster. And I need some space for all of that visual weight to sit without feeling like it's just going to fall straight off the bottom of the page. My title is going to be Happy Camper, and I'm going to spell happy with these stickers. Again, these are from the Pocket Life kit on that same Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party sticker sheet. So I'm just going to spell happy with those, and you'll see me using a die set from the shop to spell out the rest of the title a little bit later in the layout. But right now I want to go ahead and get all of these pre-made elements gone through and decide what's going to be on the page so that I can then try out, sort of audition a bunch of background paper sheets. Now those vellum pockets are from Amy Tan's Cut and Paste collection. Those are in the embellishment kit, and I'm going to go ahead and use one of them in this layout to tuck my journaling in, so that I don't really have to plan an extra space on my page for it. So it will go right behind this little photo, sort of offset on it. And then I will use the side of that pocket, the rest of it, to anchor an embellishment cluster. And don't worry, I will eventually get hold of myself and realize that that camper sticker is far too big to use in that spot on the page. But it was so cute that I really wanted to try, and since these are camper photos, I thought it would be cute. But I eventually came to my senses and switched out and decided instead to try anchoring with a flare and that little camera sticker that's up on Pop Dots, and also a couple of small hearts. Now I'm taking a photo of this layout at this point with my iPhone because it's time to start auditioning different background papers, and I want to remember what my arrangement was as I move things around. Because nothing is stuck yet, I have to move every piece individually. So please excuse me if this gets a little bit tedious. I'll try to cut out the boring parts. But basically what I'm doing is just setting up the same layout on 4 different background papers before, and taking a picture of each to compare before deciding on a final background sheet. The next sheet of paper I wanted to try was from the Fancy Pants collection, Memories Collected. And while I really loved the kind of playful theme of the text print behind it, almost right away I could see this was just going to be far too busy for those photos and for all the elements I wanted to include. And also, I don't normally worry about the cream versus white balance on a layout, but these pictures had so much white on them that it was just really distracting having them on such a cream background. So I decided to go back to the Dear Lizzie paper and set up my embellishment clusters again. Now, there are lots of colors all over the layout, and I wanted one piece of paper that would kind of draw them all together. So this sheet with the multicolored chevrons is from Amy Tan's Cut and Paste collection, and this sheet was in the add-on kit. And I liked how it had the pink and some blue and just the aqua and a lot of the colors in the layout in one spot. So it was kind of an anchor for everything. And I find myself going back and forth on the embellishment cluster on the top right on this layout a lot. So eventually I decided to take a break from that and instead work on a few more layers behind my photos. The tag behind the photo on the bottom right is from Fancy Pants Memories Collected. And it was also at this point that I decided it was a good time to go ahead and get the rest of my title in, after of course playing with the embellishment cluster one more time. Now for my title, I'm going to use this felt and a set of dies from the shop. These are Lawn Fawn's Quinn's ABC's dies, and there is a stamp set that goes with them, but most of the time I find myself using these dies without any stamps at all, just to cut out pieces like foam or felt or pattern paper scraps. It's just a great way to make coordinating alphabets. It's super easy to use. You can use any roll-through die cut machine, and I'm using a Sizzix Big Kick I got at Michael's, and just putting together a regular sandwich as you would for any of the wafer thin dies, and rolling it through, and there you see the finished alphabets, and they're so cute when they're cut. After I finished with the title, I went back to working on the embellishment clusters and removed that label from behind where the title was because I felt like it was too heavy and too much weight in that bottom corner. I'm also reworking the cluster in the top corner, starting with a piece of pink paper that I'm going to tuck into that journaling card pocket. And another thing I want to do is to mimic the diagonal lines in the Amy Tan paper on the left side of the page. And to do that, I'm going to use this Tropical Sherbet washi tape. This is from October Afternoon's Daily Flash, and it's in the main kit. And the reason I want to use this tape is because if you'll look at the paper versus the stickers have a black sketched outline, and the colors just flow one into the next. And so I wanted to bring some of that element to balance out the top right side of the paper. I'm also bringing in a little bit of the hot pink with a sticker strip. And now I'm going to try to rework that embellishment cluster. The first camera sticker I picked up was too large, and I think that this second one, the small blue one, will do, and maybe that floral tape behind it, but we'll have to see if that makes the cluster feel too busy to me. I'll add another heart sticker for another pop of hot pink, and then also pick up this black heart sticker to add another little pop of black up in that right-hand corner and to carry that color all the way across the page. Now, I mentioned earlier that my use of ribbon was inspired by a video by Vilna Furstenberg. And another thing that Vilna does that inspires me is she uses her hot glue gun to adhere lots of things down, especially the ribbon, as she did in the video that I mentioned. And one of the things she did was use it to add some twists and waves to make it look like the ribbon was falling naturally across the page. So I decided to pull out my hot glue gun, and this is just a super inexpensive one. I think it was all of $3 at Michael's. And adding tiny little dots of hot glue and gently twisting and adding little waves to the ribbon as they come down the page. And then using my basic gray rub-on roller to kind of push everything down. And with the ribbon in place, now I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything else down on the page. I'll finish things off by adding a few last finishing touches in the form of these candy button enamel dots from Basic Gray. And I'm just going to add them in little clusters of 3 surrounding the 2 embellishment clusters just to add some little extra sprinkles. If you like the idea of mist splatters but can never get them to sprinkle properly, these are a great way to kind of mimic that look without having to get all wild and crazy with the mist dropper. And then I'm going to use the stamp set from the main kit to go ahead and add a few more little accents, including some black hearts down at the bottom and maybe at the top, maybe not. Kind of going back and forth on that. The great thing about clear stamps is that you can put them on the block and actually hold it over the page and see what it's going to look like before you stamp it. This little arrow stamp will be perfect to kind of point in to the photo. And then I'm going to add one last little bit of stamping in the form of this wild at heart phrase, which I absolutely love. And by the way, please ignore my crazy haired head getting in front of the camera while stamping that. But I love that phrase. It actually ended up on 2 of my pages this month. And we'll finish this video off with a look at the finished layout and some of the detail shots. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and I hope that you all have a fantastic week.